Howdy y'all, my name is Mizgîn. I'm an NB who uses they them pronouns from America, and I've been here about just under 3 months. My main reason for coming here was that, as I followed the revolution for several years in America, after I was made aware of it, I started just to, feel a strong desire to stand side by side with the people here and participate in the struggle, so... I think what makes Rojava quite special for me is, all the emphasis that's placed on the women's revolution and how it's mandated in, the political system as well, such as, the co-chair system, which mandates that for every male leader of a congressional body, for the most part, there has to be a woman, leader there as well. So it's always at least one man and one woman sitting next to each other. And how there are autonomous women's organizations that exist side by side, all of maybe the co-ed or the men's ones as well, such that women's equal representation is just about guaranteed here, which is, I think, is a really good step, because sometimes we have these ideas when we struggle to put them into practice, but I think it's a really good fit and a really good example to follow. And this one way to illustrate how the movement isn't just a Kurdish movement, and how it's a movement for all of the peoples in the Middle East and all the peoples in this region, is how in the democratic council system there are designated chairs that must be filled by people of certain ethnic groups, and they must be filled. It's a requirement, very similar to how women need to fill in these chairs as well, in the co-chair system. So you see this and how it's impossible for these people not to be represented in the system. They're always going to have a space at the table and a place to say. It's worth showing that although media internationally often highlights a very strong Kurdish aspect of the movement, which exists and is real, it really is a pluralistic movement for all the peoples in the Middle East. I think what's really interesting about Turkey, the enemy of the revolution here, is how they're stealing olive trees, how they're burning crops, how they cut off the water supply. It's not just Turkey isn't just attacking a government here. It's not attacking the movement. It's attacking everybody who lives in this region, and it just goes to show how brutal and how vicious they are in their attempt to win their victory to crush democracy here. They don't care if they bomb civilians every day. They don't care if everybody starves. They don't care if we don't have water. It's the only thing that matters to them is victory and seizing this territory. And if the land becomes uninhabitable, if they destroy all of the ecology, to do that, that's fine for them. Something that's been quite inspiring to see so far in my time here has been this large sense of community that I feel in Rojava wherever I go. Everywhere I go, even if people don't know me, I'm always offered tea, I'm always offered bread, anything that I need, a bed even. It's just everybody goes out of their way to provide anything that I might need. And I truly mean out of their way. And just by walking around or driving around the cities and the villages and the streets, what you see is such a larger amount of socialization and participation in community events. It might sound broad and strange, perhaps listening to in the West. I realize that the general mentality in America, even if you may not think it, is simply that you try to boost your own personal self up as high as possible, and you don't really consider your neighbors as much. You don't really consider your community as much. Where here, there certainly is a necessity to take care of yourself individually, but there's a much more communal sense of success here, which is very hopeful. It feels very nice to be included in the society. It feels like you have people you can support on and lean on. Whereas, in America, I know too many people, sometimes myself even, that often say that they're surrounded by people, but they feel alone. This is very hard to imagine in Rojava, and something I'm very glad I'm able to experience is the sense of community here. I think one of the key factors that's come from being in Rojava and talking to people and just witnessing a lot of the victories and the processes of achieving these victories in Rojava has just been giving me a lot of optimism. Seeing these victories and seeing people working day and night devoting their whole lives to these things, makes me realize that it's not impossible to create these better living conditions. It's not impossible to create a more healthy society that works for everybody. So upon seeing this, upon witnessing this, upon living this every day, I've really realized that it's not a hopeless endeavor to work for this, and we can truly make life much better for everybody in the world.